We're at Radio Days North America 2023. Please welcome my guest, James Cridland. Welcome.
Hello, it's great to be here.
So tell me, what separates someone in their bedroom doing a podcast and some of the most listened to podcasts we see out there today?
Well, some of the most listened to podcasts out there are people in their bedroom or in their spare room. I think, the most listened to shows are consistent. They've been going for a long, long time. They know what their audiences want. And and that's basically that. So radio stations doing great jobs on shows, but also, people in their spare rooms.
In the online age of instant gratification, is this the reason why so many podcasts start with this big idea but fail to see it through and keep that consistency going?
I think consistency is a massive thing. We know that it works in terms of radio. We know that if you chop and change too much on your radio station, then people will stop tuning in. And it's exactly the same thing in terms of a podcast as well. There's so much choice out there. There's more than 4.5 million podcasts out there to end up choosing from. So therefore, it's really important that people know what your podcast is all about, what it's there to do, and that it's a really consistent thing that comes out every single week or every single month or whenever it's going to be, so that people understand how that's going to work.
Who are some of your favorite podcasters in that space?
I listen to an awful lot of podcasts about podcasts because, of course, I do, as you would expect. But
podcast inception.
Yeah, yes, exactly. It's just like this very strange thing. Yeah. But there are some great shows out there. I'm a fan of The Rest Is Politics, which is a show from the UK with Alistair Campbell that used to work for Tony Blair, and another politician called Rory, and I'm desperately trying to remember his surname. There you go. That just goes to show.
There's only one.
But it's a fantastic show and really, really enjoyable. Pod Save the UK as well, a great show. In Australia, where I live now, CoronaCast kept me very much sane during the pandemic, and that was a great show that went daily with Dr. Norman Swan, who's a real doctor, and actually, doing a great job of explaining what was going on. So, there's, an awful lot of great shows out there.
It's that companionship, isn't it? And that's probably why you turned to that podcast in particular at that time, when it was a very lonely world. And when you get that notification on your phone or your smartphone or just on your smart speaker that a new episode is out, it really kind of it gives you something, doesn't it?
Yeah, I think, companionship, both for radio and for podcasting, is one of the reasons why we tune in. I talk about radio as being a shared experience with a human connection. That's what radio is best at doing. That's what radio's unique selling point is. It's not the best mix of the 80s, 90s and now. It's the human beings there. And I think that's a really important thing that we should be careful that we don't forget.
So what's the fine line in between long-form radio breaks and a podcast episode? How do you find that balance in between the two? Because you're hearing more morning shows go down the kind of podcast style of performance, very relaxed, less tight, less speedy, which is something we've just been trained to do. Yeah. It's quite the opposite now, isn't it? Be a bit more laid back with the podcasting style.
Yeah, I think podcasting has the benefit that you don't have the traffic and travel to cut to. You don't have a news break at the top of the hour. You don't have these very long commercial breaks. All of that stuff, none of that furniture is there. And that helps a podcast be a little bit more, creatively flowing and all of that. So I think that there's, a bunch of differences. But at the end of the day, what really works is human connection and making sure that, it's a great experience. So, and that works for both podcasting and works for the radio shows too.
So what is the top tool that we could take away from podcasting and implement it into the radio world? What's one that you would like to speak on?
Well, here at Radio Days North America, I was talking about lots of different tools, transcription tools and tools to tidy up your audio and tools to make editing easier and all of that. I think transcripts are really an important tool that radio can use as well, both for making individual interviews and stuff better, but also for helping people find that great content, giving that to your PR person so that they can show how great the interview you did with so-and-so was to the local paper, to the local website, whatever it might be. So I think transcripts are a really good tool that not enough people in radio are actually using yet.
And have you enjoyed your time here at Radio Days North America?
Radio Days is a fantastic thing, both in Europe, Radio Days Asia for the last couple of years, and now Radio Days North America. It's a wonderful, wonderful get-together of radio people throughout North America. It's a wonderful thing, and I'm so pleased that I'm here.
Yeah, pleased to have you here, James. Welcome to Toronto, Ontario, and happy listening.
Thank you so much.